What's up, my producer friends? It's David with another MonsterProductions.com. In this video, I want to share with you 10 free VST plugins that I use a lot in my productions and I think can be really useful. And most of these plugins are not genre specific, so it really doesn't matter what genre of music you're producing. These plugins are still going to be pretty useful to have. If you've been following the channel for a while, you've probably seen me use some of these plugins in the past, so I am going to leave timestamps in the description of this video if you guys want to skip around for any reason. I'm also going to leave download links in the description of this video just to hopefully make your life a little bit easier. And just so you know, these are not ranked in any particular order. All of these plugins serve such different purposes, it doesn't really make sense to me to try and rank them. And also, if you guys have a particular free VST plugin that you use that is not on this list, feel free to leave that in the comments down below. I'm definitely curious to hear about it, and I know other people will be as well. So any good free VSTs that I left out, comment that down below. And without further ado, let's get straight into it. All right, so the first plugin that I want to talk about here is called MAutopan. This plugin is by MeldaProductions, and it actually comes in this huge free bundle that they're giving away. You have the option to upgrade for a little price there, and basically they have a little blurb here that you can look at on their website, which shows you the advantages of upgrading. And these are all the different plugins that come in the bundle along with the MAutopan. Now, the way that I like to use this plugin is on various elements within a mix that I just want some sort of cool stereo effect with. So for example, I could put this on like an arpeggio or something like that and just have it swimming back and forth in the stereo field of the track. This plugin is really pretty straightforward. Basically this acts as like an LFO, and right now it's a sine wave and it's going really fast. You can change the rate with this knob here, and then it kind of gives you a visual of how fast it's going. So then over here we have a pan law, and then we have a depth, and these affect kind of how far left or right everything is moving. You can actually go down here and go into the different shapes and get kind of crazy with it and create your own shapes. Definitely worth looking into, and I definitely use this plugin quite a lot actually. All right, so the next plugin that I want to talk about is called dblue Glitch. This is version 1.3. This is a really old plugin. It's actually not even supported anymore, and it's kind of known to potentially be a little bit buggy and can, you know, kind of potentially crash on you at various instances. So if you go to the developer's website, you can still download this plugin for free, but they do have a little blurb that kind of tells you, you know, it may contain bugs and that sort of thing. But personally, I still use this plugin to this day. I've had this thing for years, and it's just a really cool plugin. It has a tape stop effect, modulator, retrigger, shuffler, reverser, crusher, gator, delay, stretcher, and like fundamentally it's pretty easy to use. Basically you can click here and just kind of clear all this out. If you right click, it clears it out so that there's not all these little things, and then you can choose your effect and kind of decide on what measure the effect is happening. If you right click, it gets rid of it. And personally, I use this plugin mostly for the tape stop effect, for the reverser effect, and then for the crusher effect. But I have experimented with some of these other effects and they're all really cool. So definitely another cool plugin, but as I mentioned, you know, use at your own risk. So the next plugin that I want to talk about is called Span. It's by Voxingo, and this is a plugin that I use all the time. It's a spectrum analyzer, but it also covers some other forms of analysis as well. For example, we have a peak meter over here, which measures decibels full scale. We also have a correlation meter, which measures the phase. So, you know, over to the right, we are in phase, and over to the left, we are in anti-phase. So that can be kind of useful. We also have the ability to read the RMS and max crest factor. And you can also view the spectrum analyzer in stereo mode as well. So this plugin is pretty cool. It gives you a lot of metering options, and I highly recommend it when it comes to metering. All right, so the next plugin that I want to talk about is OTT by FerricTDS. This plugin was actually recreated from the Ableton plugin, which is also OTT, which basically this is an upwards, downwards multiband compressor, and it's really popular plugin, especially in like heavy bass music. So I personally haven't really been using this plugin all that much recently, just because I haven't really been producing a lot of dance music, I guess. But I felt like I had to include this plugin because it is just a must-have as far as free plugins go. So you can download OTT directly from Splice. You can sign up for a Splice account and search for free plugins, or just search for OTT and then download it for free. Alright, so the next plugin that I want to talk about is called IVGI, and this plugin is by Klanghelm. This is a saturation and distortion plugin. You can actually download this plugin directly from the manufacturer's website, and it'll tell you a little bit more information about this plugin and about, some different uses, what you can kind of do with it. Personally, I found that I really like using this plugin on vocals in certain cases, and especially on male vocals, I've found that it seems to help clean up the low mids a little bit, and then of course it adds some saturation, makes it sound a little bit fuller. And then you can really drive it to make things sound even more distorted if you want to go that way as well. So I definitely recommend checking this plugin out. Alright, so the next plugin that I want to talk about is YouLean Loudness Meter. This is more of a mastering plugin, but it can be used for mixing as well. You can download this plugin directly from the manufacturer's website and find out a little bit more information about what it does. And then they have a pro version available as well. If you want to upgrade to that, it gives you a few more options to kind of work with. But I personally have the free version, and the way that I use this is mainly just focusing on integrated LUFS or short-term LUFS, and then also taking a look at some of these other things, but mainly true peak as well. And what LUFS or LUFS actually stands for is loudness units full scale. And so this is a measurement which is kind of similar to RMS, except it's more exact as far as how humans actually perceive how loud things sound, because certain frequencies sound louder to us than other frequencies. And so this plugin takes all that into consideration and gives you a measurement. So if you want to learn a little bit more about this plugin, I actually did do a video recently where I talked about how you can incorporate this plugin into your mixing, especially when you're using reference tracks. So I'll be sure to leave a link in the description of this video and also on the screen now if you want to check that out. Alright, so the next plugin that I want to talk about is Izotope Vinyl. This plugin is by Izotope, and you can get this plugin from Splice as well. So if you go to Splice, they'll have a little bit more information about kind of what this plugin does. I actually have a tutorial walkthrough of this plugin, which I did a while ago, where I went through all the parameters of this plugin, how it all works, that sort of thing. So if you guys want to check that out, I'll be sure to leave a link in the description of this video as well as on the screen right now for you as well. But for me personally, this plugin was an absolute game changer, especially when I started getting into lo-fi, because it just does some really, really cool stuff. And the main things that I love experimenting with this plugin on pretty much anything, any genre, is the wear and then also the warp depth, which gives it this really cool like warp old record, like going in and out of tune effect. And then I also sometimes mess with these things down here, which is sort of the different eras. So if you don't have this plugin, I highly recommend checking this one out. Like I said, I use it for so many different types of things and different genres, and not just lo-fi. Alright, so the next plugin that I want to talk about is BX Subfilter. This is by Plugin Alliance. And if you go to the website, you can find out a little bit more information about this plugin. It kind of has an overview where it tells you a little bit about what the plugin does, shows you some features, gives you even some audio examples down here at the bottom. And then you can also read some reviews if you want to check that out as well. But pretty much what this plugin is kind of like an EQ, I guess. And you basically have a Q shape, or like they call it like a tight punch here, where you can hone in on a specific frequency. And basically you can go all the way up to 90 hertz, or you can turn it all the way down to like 20 hertz and then it goes off. And then we have a low end knob here, which controls how many decibels of boost, I guess, is going on with this punch area here. We have a gain in and a gain out knob, and then a little button here, which we can change between extreme, high, and low resonance. So very simple to use plugin, and can potentially be really cool to experiment with. Now, just a word of caution, it's really easy to overdo it with this plugin, I think. So if you don't have proper monitoring, just be careful with this plugin. I think this plugin probably shines the most when it comes to like sound design, and when you're like making your own kick samples or 808s, that sort of thing. This plugin can be really fun to experiment with and see what you can come up with. So the next plugin that I want to talk about is Marvel GEQ, and this is a linear phase equalizer. So generally my go-to EQ is the Parametric EQ2 within FL Studio. I really love that EQ, but it can be definitely handy to have some sort of linear phase equalizer in your arsenal to mess with. It can come in handy in various situations. If you guys want to find out more about what linear phase EQ is, I'll leave a link in the description of this video to a podcast where you guys can learn all about the differences between regular EQ and linear phase EQ, and some instances where you might use one or the other. But the other cool thing about this plugin is it does give you the ability to do mid-side processing as well, which is, obviously a very cool feature. If you go to Voxengo's website, you can find out a little bit more about this EQ and download it for free. So definitely another cool plugin that I use fairly frequently. All right, so the last plugin that I want to talk about is FerricTDS. This is a saturation plugin, and it's by Variety of Sound. So you can get this plugin at Plugin Boutique and various other websites. But if you go to Plugin Boutique, which is the link that I'll include in the description for this, it gives a little bit of information about kind of what this plugin is and what it does. And then also you can choose between Mac or Windows and download it for free. Now, unfortunately, this plugin only has a 32-bit version, so chances are you'll probably have to run it bridged, but not really a huge deal there. Now, this plugin has some pretty decent presets, which I'll like to kind of choose one and then tweak it. And particularly oftentimes I'll use this plugin in my master chain when I'm mastering, and I'll use this mix glue, and it kind of acts like a compressor. It glues things together a little bit better, kind of fattens up the low end a little bit, and just makes everything sound a little bit more cohesive. So definitely, one potential use for this plugin. Obviously you may want to tweak these presets a little bit, tweak the amount of saturation, and then of course we have the limiter built in as well. So pretty cool plugin, and definitely one that I would recommend. If you like the video, be sure to hit the like button. If you're new to the channel, consider subscribing. Right now I'm doing a lot of FL Studio related tutorials, specifically a lot of sound design tutorials within stock FL Studio plugins. So this video is something a little kind of different. So if you're new, be sure to check out some more of the other videos that I have on the channel, and I will see you in the next video.